Before we jump into this explosive story, make sure to hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss a single second of these game-changing moments and raw, behind-the-scenes breakdowns. Join our community and be part of every shocking twist. There's a sense in the locker room that this past week's success might be the breakthrough moment you've all been waiting for, that pivotal turning point to redefine your season? Absolutely. The energy is electric. That win in Minnesota wasn't just another game, it felt like the start of a new era. We celebrated together, and those moments off the court are the glue that holds a team together, turning chemistry into real results. And most unbelievably, it all happened without Caitlin Clark, the rookie phenom expected to carry everything. Instead of collapsing without her, this team rose, every player stepping into new power, new leadership, and new confidence. Last night, the basketball world didn't just see a game. It saw a revolution. Indiana Fever didn't just beat Las Vegas Aces, they crushed them, exposed them, and left them stunned and broken on the floor. The final score, 81-54, doesn't even begin to describe the emotional and mental domination that unfolded. From the opening seconds, Indiana played like a team possessed. Every basket felt like a war drum. Every defensive stop, a statement. By the end of the first quarter, 21-4, the psychological battle was over. This wasn't a normal win. It was a historic exorcism. After losing 16 straight games to the Aces, Indiana finally broke free from years of humiliation. And they did it without their brightest star. In the second quarter, they didn't just hold the lead, they annihilated Vegas with a 25-10 run that silenced commentators and shook the league's foundation. Aya Wilson? Her 29 points look impressive on paper, but peel back the layers. 11 from free throws, only 3 rebounds, and a -27 impact when on the court. She wasn't the unstoppable MVP, she was exposed. The rest of the Aces vanished. Chelsea Gray looked like a shell of her former self, Jackie Young faded away, and Kelsey Plum, one of the most dangerous scorers in WNBA history, ended with just 6 points. Meanwhile, Indiana operated like a perfectly synchronized machine. Kelsey Mitchell erupted for 25 points with fearless aggression. Aaliyah Boston dominated inside, Natasha Howard delivered a double-double, and Lexie Hull disrupted everything with her defensive fire. Even without Clark, the Fever's bench exploded with energy and unity, a living symbol of a team truly alive. This wasn't just a win. It was a thunderous declaration. Indiana Fever is no longer the league's easy target. They are here. They are dangerous. And they believe. The Aces now stand at a crossroads. Will they adapt and reclaim their dominance, or crumble and watch their dynasty dissolve? As for Indiana, this is just the beginning. With Caitlin Clark returning soon, the ceiling for this team is sky high. If you love underdog stories, if you felt the electricity of this moment, and if you never want to miss these epic turning points, smash that subscribe button right now. Hit the like, turn on notifications, and join us for every behind-the-scenes revelation, every victory, every heartbreak. This journey is just getting started, and you'll want to be right here for every second. Is there maybe a sense in the locker room that the success you've had over the past week could be your big breakthrough or perhaps a turning point for the rest of the season? Yeah, I think we're all feeling good. The energy is really high. It was a great win in Minnesota, and we had a chance to celebrate together, which only helps our chemistry. All that stuff off the court definitely fuels us. We're having fun together, enjoying each other's company on and off the floor. So, yeah, I think this is a really good moment for us, especially since we're doing it without one of our best players. To accomplish that under those circumstances makes us really proud. The basketball world was left in stunned silence last night as the Indiana Fever delivered one of the most shocking blowouts in recent WNBA memory. The final score, 81-54, barely scratches the surface of how thoroughly the Fever dismantled the self-proclaimed unstoppable Las Vegas Aces. What made this victory even more remarkable was that Indiana pulled it off without their superstar rookie, Caitlin Clark. It wasn't a fluke. It was a systematic dismantling of a team many believed to be unbeatable. From the opening tip, it was obvious this would not be business as usual. The Fever came out with an intensity that immediately put the Aces on their heels. Indiana's first 6 points came in rapid succession, setting the tone for what turned into a defensive masterclass. By the end of the first quarter, the scoreboard read 21-4 in favor of Indiana, but it felt even more lopsided. The Indiana Fever had finally beaten the Aces, their first win against them since I was 22 years old. The Aces, usually so fluid and confident in their offensive sets, looked disjointed and hesitant. Passes that usually found their mark were slightly off. Shots that typically fell were rattling out. The Fever's defensive pressure was already paying off. The second quarter was where the game shifted from competitive to outright humiliation. Indiana outscored Vegas 25-10, turning the matchup into a basketball clinic. Asia Wilson. My God, the free throws she had. Statistically, she finished with almost 30 points, but so many came from the line. The officials tried their best to keep the Aces in the game, but it didn't matter. It didn't matter at all. The Fever finally beat the Aces, and they did it without Caitlin Clark. During this stretch, Indiana shot an astonishing 82% from the field, while holding the Aces to a paltry 24%. These weren't just missed shots, they were heavily contested, rushed attempts from a team completely out of rhythm. Kelsey Mitchell, often overlooked when discussing Indiana's backcourt, took center stage with her scoring prowess. Meanwhile, Aaliyah Boston dominated the paint on both ends of the floor. What made this performance so impressive was its completeness. It wasn't just one player getting hot or a team riding a three-point barrage. Indiana beat Vegas in every aspect of the game. They controlled the paint, outscoring the Aces 38-20 there. They won the turnover battle, forcing 17 while committing only 11. They even out-rebounded the defending champs 36-33. Every adjustment the Aces tried to make, Indiana had an answer. The third quarter was supposed to be a turning point for the Aces, but instead became a perfect microcosm of their entire night. With about 6 minutes left in the quarter, Lexie Hull got textbook rebounding position against Aya Wilson. Wilson reached over her back and made clear contact, but rather than calling an obvious foul, the officials called it a jump ball. This was a huge win for the Fever, since the Aces were the only team they hadn't beaten. Least once last season, they were 0-16 against them coming into this game. And they did it without Caitlin Clark. This team is crazy. First, they beat the #1 team in the league, and then they take down the Aces, who had swept them in 16 straight games. It's a testament to how this group is finally finding its rhythm. The broadcast crew was audibly shocked, with one announcer shouting, "That's an over-the-back foul every day of the week." In past years, this might have been the moment the Aces rallied. They might have used the officiating gift to spark momentum. But the 2024 Fever are built differently. Instead of complaining or losing focus, they tightened their defense even more and kept executing offensively. The supposed momentum shift never materialized. Instead, Indiana extended their lead. Heading into the fourth quarter up 68-47, the final period turned into pure embarrassment for the defending champs. The Aces managed just 7 points in the entire quarter. 7. For context, some teams can score that in a single possession these days. I think everyone is coming in with a level of focus right now, knowing we have a target on our backs and making sure we're locked in at practice. But we're also bringing that fun, light-hearted energy to practice because, at the end of the day, this is a game. We want to enjoy it. I think we play our best basketball when we're loose, joyful, and playing together. Indiana's defense was so suffocating that the Aces looked like they had forgotten how to run their sets. Passes were telegraphed, shots were rushed, and even when they got open looks, they couldn't convert. Meanwhile, Indiana kept pushing. Their ball movement was crisp, and their shot selection was perfect. Aya Wilson's stat line, 29 points on 9 of 18 shooting, looks good at first glance. But dig deeper, 11 of those points came from 13 free throw attempts. She grabbed just 3 rebounds. More tellingly, the team was outscored by 27 points during her 34 minutes on the floor. This wasn't an MVP performance, it was empty stats when her team needed real impact. The rest of the aces didn't just underperform, they disappeared. Chelsea Gray, a former finals MVP and one of the most respected point guards in the league, looked completely lost, finishing with 2 points and 5 turnovers. Her trademark playmaking and clutch shooting were missing, and her inability to control the game allowed Indiana's defense to feast. Jackie Young, usually steady on both ends, managed only 4 points on a rough 2 of 10 shooting night. Even Kelsey Plum, one of the most lethal shooters in WNBA history, finished just 2 of 9 for a measly 6 points. The numbers outside of Wilson were not just bad, they were historically bad. The rest of the aces combined to shoot an almost unimaginable 7 of 43 from the field, just 16.3%. That's a figure so low it defies logic for a team of their caliber. These aren't just poor stats, they're the kind of numbers that force a franchise to question everything: roster construction, coaching schemes, even team culture. Had this been an early season slump, it might have been dismissed as a fluke. But at this point in the year, it feels far more troubling. A team that has lost its way. What made Indiana's win so special wasn't just the scoreline, it was the way they completely dismantled the defending champs with near-perfect execution. Kelsey Mitchell led the way with 25 points, attacking relentlessly. Aaliyah Boston added 20 points and 7 rebounds, dominating the paint against what is usually a strong interior defense. Natasha Howard chipped in a double-double with 11 points and 10 rebounds, while Lexie Hull set the defensive tone early, disrupting passing lanes and contesting everything. It was a full 48-minute team effort. The Fever assisted on 24 of their 31 made field goals, an absurdly high ratio that showcased their unselfishness and offensive chemistry. Every player knew their role. Every pass was sharp. Every shot felt like it came naturally from the offense. This wasn't just a win, it was a statement that Indiana's rebuild is ahead of schedule. Perhaps the most telling sign wasn't on the stat sheet, but on the benches. Indiana's bench was electric all night, with even the injured Caitlin Clark jumping up to celebrate every big play, cheering her teammates like an extra coach. Every defensive stop, transition bucket, and hustle play was met with pure joy, a clear sign of a fully bought-in team. In stark contrast, the Aces bench looked shell-shocked. Players sat slumped, staring at the floor. There was no communication, no fire, no leadership, just a collective sense of disbelief. This wasn't just a bad shooting night, it was a team that had completely lost its identity. The Aces, once the gold standard of WNBA professionalism, looked like a group with no answers. For Indiana, this win is more than a regular season victory. It's proof they're no longer the league's easy out. This is a team with a clear defensive identity, multiple scoring options, and most importantly, a growing belief that they belong among the WNBA's best. With Caitlin Clark still working her way back, the ceiling for this team is frightening. For Vegas, the implications are far more serious. A loss this lopsided can't be brushed off as just an off night. The issues are systemic: stagnant offense, defensive breakdowns, and over-reliance on Wilson. If they don't correct course soon, this could mark the beginning of the end for their dynasty. When we look back at this season, this game may be remembered as the night the league's hierarchy was flipped. The Aces, once the undisputed standard-bearers, were exposed as vulnerable, maybe even in decline. Meanwhile, the Fever, long stuck in the lottery, announced themselves as true contenders. And they did it without their best player. The road ahead won't be easy for either team. Vegas needs deep self-reflection to reclaim their championship form. Indiana, meanwhile, must prove this wasn't a one-off but the start of their true identity. One thing is certain, after tonight, nobody will underestimate the Fever again. As for the Aces, the message is clear: adapt or get left behind. Because, as Indiana just showed, the rest of the league isn't waiting for them to figure it out. Is there a sense in the locker room that this past week's success might be the breakthrough moment you've all been waiting for? That pivotal turning point that could redefine your entire season? Absolutely. The vibe right now is electric. There's a real sense of collective pride. That win in Minnesota was more than just another game. It felt like a symbolic victory, a shared milestone that bound us even tighter. We got to celebrate as a unit, and those off-court moments matter more than people realize. They cement trust, strengthen chemistry, and inject joy into the grind. Even more striking is that we're doing this without one of our pillars, Caitlin Clark. It's forced everyone to elevate their game, to step into new roles, to lead in unexpected ways. That's something that can galvanize a team for the rest of the season, and beyond. The basketball world didn't just witness an upset last night, it saw a seismic shift. The Indiana Fever didn't just beat the Las Vegas Aces, they dismantled them, humiliated them, and left them questioning their very identity. The final score, 81-54, fails to capture the emotional devastation inflicted on a team that had been crowned the standard-bearer of modern WNBA excellence. From the opening seconds, Indiana showed an aggression that felt almost personal, as though they carried every loss of the last decade on their backs. Their first 6 points hit like body blows, staggering a Vegas team so accustomed to dictating the pace. By the time the first quarter ended at 21-4, the psychological battle was already won. But this was no ordinary game. This wasn't just a regular season matchup or a momentary hot streak. The Fever's victory was a culmination of years of pain, rebuilding, and relentless effort, a symbolic breaking of chains. This was the team that had lost 16 straight games to the Aces. The same Indiana Fever that fans pitted, that other teams looked forward to playing because it meant an easy win. But last night, that narrative was incinerated under the bright lights. What made it even more astounding? They did it without Caitlin Clark, the generational rookie expected to be the savior. Instead of crumbling, the Fever thrived, proving that they're more than just a one-star story. In the second quarter, Indiana didn't just maintain the lead, they ripped Vegas apart, outscoring them 25-10 in a basketball clinic so thorough that even the commentators fell silent in disbelief. It was the kind of quarter that makes executives reconsider draft boards, that makes coaches question schemes they once believed untouchable. A'ja Wilson, often the unchallenged queen of the WNBA, looked mortal, almost invisible at moments. Though she had 29 points on paper, the stat line was hollow. 11 of those came from free throws. Only 3 rebounds. A staggering -27 when she was on the court. It wasn't just an off night, it felt like an unmasking. The rest of the Aces? Missing in action. Chelsea Gray, once the orchestrator of championship symphonies, played like a ghost, registering 2 points and 5 turnovers. Jackie Young vanished into the shadows, and Kelsey Plum, one of the most feared shooters alive, finished with an unthinkable 6 points. Meanwhile, Indiana looked like a machine tuned to perfection. Every rotation on defense was sharp. Every pass on offense purposeful. Kelsey Mitchell, often overshadowed, played with a fiery vengeance, scoring 25 points as though she was settling scores with every shot. Aaliyah Boston? Dominant. Her 20 points and 7 rebounds weren't just numbers, they were statements. She out-muscled Vegas's bigs, exposed their interior softness, and made it look effortless. Natasha Howard contributed a gritty double-double, while Lexie Hull, usually a quiet role player, became a defensive force field, her energy contagious, her hustle echoing across the arena. Even from the bench, Caitlin Clark embodied a different kind of leadership, a passionate, vocal presence, standing, shouting, celebrating every hustle play like it was a buzzer beater. It wasn't just support, it was a signal, we are one. Off the court, rumors are now swirling that this game might mark the unraveling of the Aces dynasty. Some insiders whisper about locker room fractures, growing tensions about Wilson's dominance overshadowing others, and questions over whether the team's culture has grown stale. The Fever's bench was a carnival of pure joy, players dancing, hugging, screaming in triumph. In sharp contrast, the Aces bench looked like a funeral procession, shoulders slumped, heads buried in hands, eyes empty. No rallying speeches. No visible leadership. Just a hollow shell of what was once a fearsome powerhouse. This wasn't just a bad game. It was a fracture line running straight through the heart of the Aces' identity. For Indiana, it was more than a win, it was a revolution. A night when a perennial underdog stood up and roared, "We belong here." But the impact goes beyond one game. Analysts now suggest this might be the match that reshaped the power hierarchy of the WNBA. The Aces, previously viewed as immortal, were exposed as vulnerable, even human. Meanwhile, the Fever, long relegated to the league's basement, announced themselves as a rising force with terrifying potential. With Caitlin Clark still recovering, one can only imagine what this team will look like when she returns. Their ceiling isn't just high, it might be limitless. For Vegas, this is a crossroads. They can either evolve, adapt, and reignite the fire that once made them champions, or risk watching their legacy disintegrate in real time. When the story of this season is told, historians might point to this game as the moment when the empire cracked and the new revolutionaries marched through the gates. Indiana Fever, once the league's afterthought, is now a name every contender will circle in red on the calendar. They're no longer a stepping stone, they're a threat. A living, breathing testament to resilience, unity, and the power of collective belief. And the Aces? The message to them, and to the entire league, is brutally clear: adapt or get left behind. Because Indiana just proved, with thunderous finality, that no one is waiting for them to figure it out. This wasn't just a win. It was a statement. A war cry. A rebirth. Indiana Fever, a team once written off as a bottom feeder, has now forced the entire WNBA to stop and pay attention. They did it without their superstar. They did it with unity, grit, and a collective heart that refused to back down. For the Las Vegas Aces, the questions now run deeper than a single bad game. Have they grown complacent? Can they rise from this humiliation and reclaim their throne, or is this the beginning of the end for a once untouchable dynasty? What we witnessed was more than just basketball. It was a glimpse into the soul of a team discovering its true identity, and a warning shot to the rest of the league. The Indiana Fever is here, and they're no longer waiting for permission to be great. The future has arrived. And it's wearing fever red. If you felt the energy of this game, if you believe in underdog stories, and if you don't want to miss the next chapter of this incredible journey, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now, smash the like, and turn on notifications. Join us as we keep diving deep into the moments that redefine sports history. Because after last night, one thing is certain: no one will ever underestimate the Indiana Fever again.